Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really excited to explore something quite profound.
hmm
We're drawing from a daily devotional called The Lord's Restorative Touch, Healing the Eyes of the Soul.
Yes, and that's one from our own H7O ministry. Really insightful stuff.
Absolutely. The ministry does great work fostering spiritual growth. And our goal today really is to unpack the spiritual lessons, hidden in what seems like a simple story.
Right, how physical healing can point to something, well, much deeper. That restoration of the soul you mentioned.
Exactly. And there's this one specific part, isn't there, from Mark chapter 8.
Yeah, Mark 8.25. It really grabs you because Jesus heals this blind man, but he touches him twice, not just once.
Twice, which is unusual. Right? We often hear about these instantaneous miracles.
It is, it stands out.
So a two-stage healing, what's the immediate thought there? Does that suggest, I don't know, a limitation or...
That's a really common question,
Yeah.
actually. But the devotional makes it clear, and I think this is key. It's not about any lack of power in Jesus.
Hmm.
Not at all. It's more like a profound spiritual lesson. It teaches us about progressive revelation.
Progressive revelation? Okay, unpack that a bit.
It's this idea that God often reveals truth or brings healing in stages, kind of unfolds it as we're ready.
Ah, I see. So the first touch isn't necessarily incomplete because Jesus couldn't do it all at once.
Exactly. It shows maybe we only have partial sight after that first encounter. And the Lord's committed to the full picture, opening the eyes of the soul, not just the physical eyes.
Okay, right. Let's dig into the story itself then. Before that first touch even happens, there's a detail the devotional points out. Jesus takes the man outside the village.
Yes, such a small detail, but so significant.
Why? Why the separation?
Well, the devotional puts it beautifully. Some healings require intimacy. He doesn't do this for the crowds. This pulling away, it's personal, it's intentional. It suggests that for a complete work, maybe privacy is needed.
Like needing to step away from the noise.
Precisely. Think about it in your own life. When you need deep focus or you're healing from something tough, you often need to get away from, well, the village, the expectations, the distractions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it makes you ask, right, what villages, maybe environments or habits or even ways of thinking might we need to step away from for our own clarity?
Or healing. Sometimes God heals in retreat, not out in the open.
Exactly. Not an exposure, as the devotional says.
And it connects back to that core idea. The greatest healing wasn't just physical sight, though it was the restoration of the eyes of the heart.
Yeah.
Jesus revealing himself in that quiet, personal moment.
Yes, it's that journey from spiritual blindness to really seeing God's glory in Christ. It starts with that personal encounter, not a public show.
Okay, so then comes the first touch. And this is where, for me, it gets really interesting. The man sees, but not clearly. He says he sees people, but they look like trees walking around.
Men as trees, yeah. It's such a striking image.
It really is. What does that specific visual tell us? That confusion, that blurriness.
Well, the devotional calls it a spiritual metaphor. Partial vision.
Right.
And men as trees. Think about it. Trees are kind of static, right?
Yeah.
Undifferentiated objects in the landscape.
Yeah, not like distinct individuals.
Exactly. It suggests maybe seeing people, but without recognizing their uniqueness, their humanity, maybe their needs or emotions. It's like seeing the general shape of things, but missing the details, the reality.
So a faith that sees something but is still confused, lacking clear direction.
Yeah, I think that resonates with a lot of people. That feeling of walking by faith, but things are still fuzzy. You see, but not clearly. Maybe spiritual truths or even relationships look like indistinct shapes.
Like seeing people just as background noise or even obstacles.
Could be. Instead of, fellow travelers or people made in God's image. It's a profound image for that intermediate stage.
Wow. Okay, so what's the takeaway then? Because Jesus doesn't leave him like that.
No, he doesn't, and that's crucial.
The second touch, it speaks volumes about his patience, his commitment. The devotional says, Jesus does not give up until he completes the work he touches again.
He's committed to the full vision, not just partial. That's a huge message of hope right there. His persistence, his grace.
Absolutely. So this whole journey from blindness to partial sight to full clarity, it seems like there are some core principles we can pull out for ourselves.
Definitely. It distills down beautifully. What's the first one that jumps out to you?
Well, we sort of touched on it already. That first one has to be separation for clarity. Jesus taking the man out of the village. It makes you think about those villages in our lives today.
Right. not just physical places.
It could be like the endless noise of social media, maybe a really cynical group we spend time with, or even just our own negative thought patterns, things that cloud our perception.
Yeah. The devotional says sometimes God heals in retreat, not in exposure. It really prompts that self-reflection. What's blurring my spiritual vision right now? What do I need to step away from?
It's practical, isn't it? Like needing quiet to tune a radio properly.
That's a great analogy. Got to get away from the interference to hear the clear signal. For some, yeah, it might be stepping back from online arguments. For others, maybe a digital detox just to listen.
Intentional quiet and space.
Yeah.
Okay. Principle number 2.
This one's really important. Focusing on the who over the how.
Yes. The devotional is very clear. The method is not, the focus touch is saliva does not heal. The power is in Jesus.
Right. It's so easy to get hung up on the how, isn't it? The specific technique, the formula for a breakthrough.
We look for the magic bullet.
We do. But this reminds us, whether Jesus used spit or mud or just spoke a word, the power wasn't in the method itself. It was his authority, his compassion, his person.
So shift focus from the mechanics to just receiving from him.
Exactly. Trusting his touch is enough. It's a callback to simple faith in Jesus himself, not overanalyzing the process.
Got it. And the third principle follows from that, really.
It does.
It's about allowing Christ's process, recognizing that not all restoration is instantaneous.
So important in our instant everything world.
Right. We want quick fixes, but the devotional urges us, wait and trust until you can say, now I see everything clearly.
It acknowledges the journey. Spiritual growth, healing, it often takes time. We have to allow God to complete his work, not settle for that partial ministries kind of vision.
Like learning to walk, maybe, or recovering from an injury?
Yeah, exactly. It's usually in stages. There might be setbacks. It takes patience, persistence. Spiritual sight often unfolds the same way.
You get an initial glimpse, maybe.
But full clarity needs us to keep seeking him, keep applying the truth.
Yeah.
And it shows his commitment to us, that he sticks with us until we see clearly. It's beautiful.
It really is. This whole deep dive, it makes you stop and think about your own spiritual walk.
Definitely.
And the devotional includes some pretty searching questions for us to ponder.
Yeah, they cut deep.
Like, is my faith firm, or do I still see Jesus in a fuzzy way? That's challenging.
Or, what areas of my life need a second touch from the Lord?
And even, have I sought complete healing, or have I settled for partial vision? Wow. Those are really personal.
They really are. They're not just things to think about lightly. They're invitations to, really examine where we are spiritually.
So what's the practical step?
Well, the devotional suggests praying specifically for discernment, not just for blessings in general, but for clarity.
To see with the eyes of your heart, like Ephesians says?
Exactly. It's asking for the ability to truly perceive reality as God sees it. And part of that is actively, identifying and leaving those villages we talked about, the things clouding our vision.
So pulling it all together, the story of the blind man at Bethsaida, it's just such a powerful picture.
It is.
More than just physical sight, it's about Jesus opening the eyes of the heart so we can see spiritually with real clarity. That journey from partial to clear sight.
And the wonderful truth is, as the devotional reminds us, Jesus is still touching eyes today. That work of restoration, it's still happening.
That is a powerful thought to hold on to, and the devotional ends with something really striking.
Yeah.
But it is not enough to see light. You must see Christ, and only he can open the eyes of the soul.
Wow. That distinction is key.
It really challenges us, doesn't it? To go beyond just seeing general truths, beyond just seeing light, and to seek that deep, complete spiritual vision that only comes from knowing him.
So we really encourage you, our listeners, to reflect on these principles. Consider those questions for yourself. How might you apply this? Where might you need that second touch for complete spiritual vision?
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Lord's restorative touch. It's, as we mentioned, a daily devotional from our H7O ministry.
We're incredibly grateful for our H7O community.
We really are, and we invite everyone listening to learn more about the ministry and how you can support this work.
Yeah.
You can find everything at h7o.life. That's h-7o.life.
Please do check it out.
Until next time, blessings.